Very well, Council.
Before the break, the lunch break, we agreed, we established that men in black would bring the suspects already tortured before the commission and their statements were taken.
Men halno yimɓe ɓornoɓe ko ɓawli ko ɓe nangat neɗɗo ɓe yaha ɓe mettinamo walla ɓe lippamo si pari ɓe addamo yeeso commission o ɓe ɓaŋa konngol maɓɓe.
Correct?
Wona noon?
Bringing them does not go straight to statement taking. They are brought in and we interview the statements are taken.
Addugol ɓe wiɗani firtani wigol wondema ɓe naɓete direct ka window ɓe ka window ɓe haalaji waɗi si ɓe addama ko ɓe men joƴina petan men landoɓe taw.
You are correct in that. They were brought in, already tortured and presented to the panel to be interviewed.
Ɗon de ko gonga ɓe lappat ɗumen ha para ɓe adda ɗumen e nder suudu o ɓe joɗɗina ɗumen e yeeso panel o pour ɓen wawa fuɗɗade lamdugol maɓɓe.
Correct?
I agree that some of them were tortured, yes.
Mi jaɓi ɗum wondema woodi e maɓɓe ɓe andanama wondema ɓe tappama ma ɓe heɓi caɗele musude.
Before the break, we have also agreed, you have also agreed that members of the panel knew that these people who were brought, some of them were tortured.
ɗo me yaha e mbottari kala a holli wondema andi woɓɓe wona fof kono woɓɓe no ɓe yimɓe mo annduɗa ɓe lappama ha para ɓe adda ɗumen e yeeso panel o ɗo e nder suudu ɗon.
Before the break, we were talking about the interview environment.
ɗo men yaha mbottari meɗen yewtano kala fii e no ɓe lamdirta yimɓe ɓen e nder suudu ndu no wa'uno.
You have said that those who brought in the suspects wore black and face and masks or balaclavas, as some would call them. They had weapons which was intimidating.
wiɗa kala ɓe yimɓe mo annduɗa kamɓe ɓornoto ko ɓawli kamɓe addata yimɓe mo annduɗa ɓeni ko yimɓe tumaɓe te noon si ta ɓeni adda ɗumen woɓɓe e maɓɓe ta ɓe marat fetelaji tokosi e bandu maɓɓe te noon ɗum kala no hulɓini no wonno ɗon e nder suudu ndu.
Yes.
Hey.
The last point we dealt with before the break was whether inside the panel, inside the room, whether that environment was also intimidating.
ɗo men acci yewtere nde ɗo emen yaha ko ɗum woni e nder suudu ndu ɗon e nder sal o e piiji ɗin no woniri ɗon e yimɓe wonɓe e nder ɗon e aroɓe ɗon sa ndaari haaju on no woniri ɗon ɗon kala e no wawno dal hulɓinat woɓɓe.
That's the point we were discussing.
ko ɗon men accuno yewtere nde.
So let me now ask the question again.
joni mi lamdoto ɗum tatin.
You said the interview environment, the room where the interrogations were going on was tense. So I ask you again whether that environment was fearful or was it intimidating?
Mi lamdoto ɗum tatin ko ɗum woni e nder on suudu ɗon e nder on sal mawɗo ɗon no piiji ɗi no woniri ɗon no haaju on yarata ni mi lamdonoma sita ɗon e nder ɗon no wuli walla ko tubakoɓe wiyata tent sita no wayno noon ta ɗon noon no hulɓina woɓɓe no hulɓini dal nda wona noon wonno.
That was my feeling and I believe others also feel the same.
no min mi urno temi ɗo tañƴini kadi woɓɓe kadi ɓe mo woni toon ɓen kadi ko noon yiiri affaire no waalo.
In that basis, can we conclude that the environment too was fearful, it was intimidating?
awa e dow ɗum noon min mbawat humnude yewtere nde ɗo e nder on jama e nder suudu ndu ɗon toon no hulɓini te noon no wawno dal hewɓe ɓernde maɓɓe wawata jooɗade si taɓe woni ɗon.
That was my feeling, yes, Council.
Min gadi ko noon mi yiruno jonde nden ko noon mi ƴettirno ɗum kadi hulɓini.
We have received testimonies from members of the panel or the statement takers. We have received testimony from the victims. All of them say the environment was intimidating even for the investigators themselves.
Men heɓi ɗo seedayagal yimɓe mo annduɗa kamɓe woni yimɓe mo annduɗa ɓe lappama ɗon, yimɓe mo annduɗa kamɓe woni liggotoɓe ɗon, e yimɓe mo annduɗa kamɓe woni e nder panel o bom ɓe wi dal e nder ɗon no wawno no hulɓini te noon woɓɓe dal ɓe heɓta ɓernde dal si taw ɓe natti ɗon ɓe hulat.
They may be right because I was intimidated as an individual.
No wawi ɓe koɓe woni ko haalde ko gonga sabu min e hoore an tigui mi huluno.
In that environment, which you said was intimidating to you, do you think that on the basis of the legal knowledge you have, do you think that that environment was a suitable environment to interview a suspect and obtain a confession?
wayri an hoorema a yiri ɗula on noon no wayi noon ɗon no hulɓini walla e woɓɓe si ɓe natti ɗon ɓernde maɓɓe tenkata. Joni sikkuɗa ɗon noon no moƴƴi pour adda ɗon neɗɗo mo annduɗa ɓenin mbonin tuuma pour on lamdomo e nder on e dula ha para e on heɓa konngol e junngo makko. Sikkuɗa ɗum noon no yaadi e laawol no foti yaarde ni.
It may not be, but there was no other option, Council.
Ina wawi kono noon feere go ala ɗon Council ɗum e wawata ƴettude.
The issue I have with your answer is the use of the word may. It may not be, but we have no other choice. That's what you said.
No, I didn't say that, Council.
Repeat your answer then.
I said it may be, but we have no other choice.
Well, if it may be, it also may not be. But I'll take what you just said. Okay? It may be, but we have no other choice. This is no like borderline situation. It is either the environment was not a suitable environment for an interview because of the illegalities, or it was. It cannot be in between. I ask you the question again. In view of the intimidating and fearful environment which you also felt as an investigator, do you think, in view of your legal training, that it was a conducive environment to conduct an interview lawfully?
Mi lamdoto ɗum joni ko ɗum woni e an hoorema e gandal mo heɓɗa e sengo loi. Sa ndaari ɗon keerol wawata ɗon wonde ko hunde wootere e wawata wonde ɗon nder suudu ndu no wawno ɗon wayri an hoorema wiiɗa e ɗon woɓɓe si ɓe natti ɗon ɓernde maɓɓe tenkata no hulɓini. So joni sikkuɗa ɗon noon ko dula mo annduɗa no moƴƴi pour ɓe lamda neɗɗo walla ɓe adda ɗon neɗɗo ɓe waɗanmo interview walla ɓe lamdomo pour heɓon konngol e junngo makko. Wayri onon hay won onon wonɓe nder ɗon an hoorema wiiɗa ɗon dal e o welananima no piiji ɗin woniri ɗon. Sikkuɗa ɗon no moƴƴi no yaadi e laawol.
Legally, no.
Si a ndaari e sengo luwa on ko gonga ɗon yaadani.
Therefore, flowing from what you have said, any interview conducted in such an environment and a confession obtained, what should be the legal consequences of that statement, of that confession? Joni,
sita neɗɗo addama ɗon e no piiji ɗi no an hoorema yirɗa e haaju on no woniri ni. Si goɗɗo addama ɗon e nder on jama ɓe lamdimo ha joni o haali haalaji mo annduɗa ɓe ɓangi ɗum ha pari e sengo luwa o joni on haala makko on no woniri e loi on no walori sikkuɗa ɗum noon no moƴƴi walla no yaadi e loi walla kono wayi?
It could be good ground for involuntary confession.
ɗum ko darnande fondement nde kelɗude.
I said it could be good ground for involuntary confession.
ɗum ko darnande fondement nde moƴƴude pour on tigi wanda dawa wondema pour o wawa jaɓude konngol ko tegako e mum.
And by involuntary confession, you mean a confession that is illegally obtained?
on noon no wawno ko firti ko ɗum woni si haala heɓama ɗon e jungo neɗɗo on haala wawa wonde wona haala mo anduɗa no laaɓi walla yaadani e laawol.
It was not voluntary.
heɓaka e haala kan heɓaka e jungo on tigi no e belade makko.
If it is not voluntary, then it is illegally obtained.
si ta noon wona haala mo anduɗa joom on hoore makko ko weltare waɗi o haali ɗum awa joni si ta men laari ɗon woto ko haala mo anduɗa yaadani e laawol.
If that's your deduction, I agree.
so woni ko noon yiruɗa ɗum awa mi jaɓi.
We are talking about law here. It's not about my own perception.
ko luwa men haalta
It
ɗo.
has to be voluntary. If it is not voluntary, it is illegal. Do you agree with that?
ha fi luwa o men haalta ɗo de haala si neɗɗo no okkiri haala o foti wonde haala ko weeli joom o no welimo mbo haaliranin kono noon si ta ko laawol goɗɗo ɓaŋa laawol mo anduɗa joom on no hulɓina ha o haali haalalaji e ko ɗon men wiyatani awa on haala no wawno dal wawata wonde haala mo anduɗa no tiiɗi no dari ha tiiɗi.
If it is not voluntary, it is involuntary, and it could be set aside when it is interpreted somehow.
Are you avoiding to say the word illegal?
no wayno dal a parani haalde hunde mo anduɗa yaadani e luwa.
The law says a confession should be obtained voluntarily. If it is not obtained voluntarily, that confession is illegally obtained and therefore should be set aside. That is the law. Do you agree with that? Don't interpret this.
I don't contest law. If that is the law, that is the law.
It is not a question of if. Do you agree that that is the law?
Council, I think I don't disagree from this.
Okay, just say
when I
it
started.
then. Just say it then. If you
I
don't
said
disagree,
involuntary.
say
If
it.
it is involuntary, obviously it has some issues, and that's what I said. If it is involuntary, it could be set aside. So illegally, when it is illegal too, I wouldn't contest that, because that's what you said is law.
So you agree that if it is not voluntarily given, it is illegally obtained. You agree with that?
Yes, Council.
Was this
ɓe wonɓe nder panel o kamɓe hoore maɓɓe ɓe andunona e ɗi haalalaji ko ɓe heɓata ɓe e nder juuɗe ɓe yimɓe yaadani e laawol?
I cannot remember telling any of the statement writers that these were illegally obtained.
wawata manditade
I didn't tell them anything like come from me or any other person else, but I didn't tell them not to obtain statements.
mi wawata manditade wondema mi haalani ɗon windo no ɗi ƴettoɓe i haalaji maɓɓe ne wigol ɓe wondema haalaji maɓɓe ɗi ɗon e ƴettude e jondirde ɗin ɗi yadani e loi o mi wawata mandito min ɗon wonanno toon police aɓe ko min jon fotno jondirde ɗin yamiroji ɓe windoɓe ɓen komin fotno min jondirde kono mi manditaki ɗum ɗon.
My question was not meant to elicit that answer. My question was it known to the members of the panel that there were these illegalities ongoing? There was this environment which made it such that confessions that were obtained would be lawfully obtained. Be unlawfully obtained.
komi wi ko ɗum woni e nder panel o woɓɓe wonɓe yimɓe wonɓe e nder panel o kamɓe koɓe ɗi haalaji ko wiyata ko ɗum woni haala maɓɓe walla statement maɓɓe o komin ɓaŋi ko sita e nder on suudu wayri ɗon no haaju on woniri woɓɓe no hulɓini so joni si on ɓaŋi haala e juuɗe woɓɓe e nder ɗon ko ɗum mi lamdi sita ɗum noon on haala mo ɓe ɓangi juuɗe maɓɓe wayri dula on no hulɓina so ɗon noon wawa wonde ko luwa o wi on sifa haala ɓe foti ɗum wallinde sengo.
I am so with the police panelists, they should know. The rest, their appreciation may be different.
So holy wonder menen songa me men imol ka police ben hibe andi kambe kono non e sengo be dango mi anda ben non e sengo mabe ko sibe farming de luwa ko hondu haale e fi kono menen sengo amen menen andi.
So you telling the commission that you, the police officers in the panel, you are sure that what was going on was unlawful and the statements obtained would have been, the confessions obtained would have been unlawfully obtained. So that's what you said, right?
Joni ko wiɗa ko haalanta commission o ko ɗum woni onon sengo polisaɓe onon oɗon andi o no yarata ni haala ko ɓe ɓagata e juuɗe ɓe yimɓe wayri ɓe ɗo dula on no hulɓini haala ka wawata wonde haala mo anduɗa o darat no waw.
We knew statements obtained under any form of duress would have issues when it gets to the courts. That we know.
Meden kada mahimo tega e tuumal te kan haala ka heɓuɗa e jungo on neɗɗo tuumaɗo ko wattu mo ƴettenoɗa on haala makko e jungo makko haymo koye ɓitte ƴettuɗa mo kan haala si o yeehi ka suudu ñawore kan ɗon ka haala ka tegete sengo.
Well, it's the status quo that we're trying to find out. We're trying to establish what the status quo was. So you accept that the police component of the investigations, you knew that there were these illegalities going on, and you knew that those statements, those confessions that were obtained during these illegalities are tainted and therefore they were illegally obtained. You knew that, correct?
So joni no wawno an hoorema sengo police on andi haala ko ɓe ɓangi e juuɗe ɓe yimɓe wayri gonga wona wona haalaji manduɗa ko ɓe yimɓe tigi welti ha ɓe haali ɗin haalaji kono noon no ɓe okkiri haalaji ɗin on dulaɗo ɓe woni ɗon no wawno dal ɓenin hulɓini ɓenin huli te noon wona dal belde maɓɓe pour ɓe haala ɗon noon no wawno haala ko ɓe ɓangi juuɗe maɓɓe ɗon on haala wawata darade wawata wonde haala mo anduɗa goɗɗo yadade eno haala.
I knew those statements could be subjected to some rejection somewhere.
Andi wondema ɗin haalaji goɗɗi e majji ton so mi yeehi dulaji goo ɓe salota ɗi ɓe wawata ɗi bokkinde ka kandre haala.
But again, that is not the question I asked.
ɗum wona komi lamdi ko
whether the statements would be subjected to some rejection somewhere. That is not the question.
wona komi lamdi ko wona ɗin haalaji woɓɓe salat ɗum e dulaji goɗɗi.
The question is, you said earlier that the police knew that due to these illegalities, the confessions were unlawfully obtained.
Ko winoɗa ko ɗum woni wayri no ɓe lamdiri ɓe yimɓe e nder jama ɗo ɓe woni ɗon e nder suudu ndu no wayi wayri ɗon no hulɓini kala haala ko ɓe ɓangi e juuɗe ɓe yimɓe ɗon wayri tuma ɓe ɓagata haala ka yaadani e laawol par ce que ɓe yimɓe no huli on tuma so joni ko ɗum woni ɗin haalaji wawata wonde haala mo anduɗa darat e sengo loi.
Yes, I said they were obtained under duress, which is right. That's what I said.
Mi haali ɗum haalaji maɓɓe nen koye nder ɓiɗɗe haalaji maɓɓe nen ƴetta ɗum.
And the police, you said, knew that.
Te noon a wiiɗa police sengo police kamɓe ɓe andino ɗum.
And so that was obvious. The police knew.
Ɗum ɗon kayno laawi kanso.
Good. The information we received from other members of the panel,
ibaruji ko men heɓi e juuɗe yimɓe manduɗa kamɓe kala ɓe tawano ɓe wonno e nder panel on
is also that they knew.
Ko ɗum woni kamɓe kala ɓe anduno.
But let me ask this question. As the police in the panel responsible for taking statements and so forth, did you advise the panel that what they were doing was unlawful?
Wayri police aɓe wonɓe e nder panel on kamɓe hiɓe andi so joni on waɗani feere pour on okka yamirore pour ɓeeɗo pour kamɓe kala ɓe anda gonga ligge komin ligge ɗen komin no min mbaɗirta ɗum ni yaɗani e lawol ho on yamira on okkani ɗum on yamirore.
They are not council. I didn't.
Ala council ɗum ɗon mi waɗani.
You did not. That's what you said. But you knew that this thing was ongoing, it was illegal. You just decided to go along with it, correct?
Joni no wawno dal onon polisaɓe on andi ko watte ni wona lawol wona ni ɓe piiji ɗin foti yarude on andi ɗum kono on yerni on acci e haaju on ko noon continue.
Yes, council.
Hey, council.
And do you realize that by doing that, you have really failed to do what you are supposed to have done as a police officer?
E dow ɗum noon e wayri ko noon haaji ɗin haaju on yaari awa joni onon e on waɗani ligge mo annduɗa ko ɗum on fotno wadde e sengo police no ɓe foti waɗirde sita e haala ka yaari noon no wawno dal on waɗani kon fotno waɗde on darde e nde wonno ɗon ɗon.
What I was doing at the time was what I could have done. The only thing I could have done.
Mi waɗayno kon on jamanu ko ɗum tan mi wawno wadde on wattu ɗon.
We would come to that later.
Men arwayay ɗon yeeso.
The question is,
komi lamdi ko
by not doing anything about it,
wayri on waɗani hay tous e ngon sengo,
you have failed to do what you were expected or required to do by law as a police officer.
Awa joni on acci lawol mo annduɗa ko on lawol on fotno ɓangde walla on waɗani ligge mo annduɗa ko noon on fotno wadde e on acci e ligge ɗen no fotno ɗo yarude e sengo police aɓe joni police on koɓe fotno wadde joni awa no wawno ɓe waɗani ligge maɓɓe.
I don't want to agree with that. I thought I of the view that what we did in getting their statements, regardless of the fact that it was on a bad environment, was to try to help them out to get the truth from them and then state it as they stated it, even though it may not be voluntary.
Sikkani mi wawa
out of inducement.
Sabu menen golle amen ko wallugol ɓe tan yiya wawugol heɓugol e konngol e jungo maɓɓe.
That was why.
Are you really serious, Mr. Witness? Are you really serious with that answer?
On de ko haalɗa kon noon gonga ko ɗum won e ɓerde ma.
If we think here that you are not speaking the truth, if we think so, and we take you out and beat you to help you speak the truth, would that be lawful?
Joni no ko kawonɗa ɗon sita a haali minen wonɓe ɗo men fikku e wona gonga haalta ni joni woɓɓe yana e dow ma ɓe nanga ma ɓe naɓa ma yaasi ɓe lippoyama sikkuɗa ɗum noon no yaadi e laawol.
No.
Ala.
Why would you therefore think that what you did was okay because you just helped them to speak the truth?
Joni way ko ɗum hoɗum waɗi noon wiiɗa e ko waɗɗon kon e tan ala hen wayri kon walloyno ɓen rek pour ɓe wawa haalde ko e gonga ko ɓe fotno haalde.
I'm not sure whether your scenario is what had happened to everybody who came before the panel.
No, we
Sikkani misal ko wonda kon jondirde ɗo kon ɗum misal ɓe arɓe ɓe yeeso panel on fof ko wonda misal ko wonda.
We just looking at what you said.
An joni kay komin laaray rek an ko haalɗa ko ko ɗum men laarata ni joni.
You said yes, there was some jurors, but all we did was we just helped them speak the truth, regardless of the things that may have happened.
Mbiɗa gonga ɗon dey e ko hulɓinino ɗon kono noon minen komin walluno ɗumen rek pour ɓe wawa haalde ko ɓe foti haalde ko pour min mbawa heɓde e ɗin haalaji e juuɗe maɓɓe.
Wasn't it that you said?
Wona ko ɗum haalloɗa?
Yes or no?
Yes, that's what I said.
But this is what I'm saying, that this is very sad.
That's ko ɗum mi wiyata ni ɗum no e yurmini ha.
Come from a senior police officer.
pour mawɗo polisaɓe haala sifa ɗin ɗon haalaji.
There was duress, there is torture, and you said it was okay. All we did was help them state the truth that they were going to say. That is serious. That is a fundamental violation of the constitution of this country.
An hoorema mbiɗa ɗon no hulɓini.
Are you aware of that?
ɓe nanguno ɗumen ɓe lippi ɗumen kono noon wiiɗa ko onon ko on wallayno ɓen rek pour on heɓa haala e juuɗe maɓɓe ɗum noon gonga ko ɗum sikkuɗa ko ɗum woni laawol ko ɗum woni laawol ko ɗum yaadi e laawol.
I think council sometimes will go around my statement and construct a sentence as if though that's what I said.
Sikki council and what would you go
I'm serious because I have never said that what has happened was lawful. No, I didn't say that. But I said the condition under which we were operating. That's what I said.
Don't interpret things. Mr. Witness, I just told you what you said. You said you agreed that's what you said. I told you that is very sad. What you said is a fundamental violation of the constitutional rights of those people.
You continue to say some other things too. That is why I'm reacting. But when I confirm to have said, yes, I did say that.
Okay, let's put it back this way. You said, yes, there was duress, okay, and other things have happened. But all we did was to help them to say the truth that they were going to say anyway. That's what you said. True or false?
Yes, that's what I said.
I'm telling you again, the third time, it's like you completely disregard the provisions of the Constitution. There should be no duress. There should be no torture. So to say that it is okay, we just help them to confess, that is very sad. And it is this mindset, the fact that you can just sit here and say, we just help them to make the confession, which suggests that to you, this was okay. But it is not okay.
I wish this was the opportunity we had at that time. It would have been a different thing.
No, but even now, even now, Mr. Witness, you see it as okay.
No,
all you did was help them to make the confession. So you torture them, and then you just help them to make the confession, and it's fine. But if that is what had happened to you, it would not be fine, would it?
I never said it's fine. I never said the tortures were fine, Council. I didn't say that. And that is why I said sometimes you go around my sentence and create a sentence and give the impression that that's what I said. I didn't say that their beating, their tortures was right. I didn't say that. But I said that what cannot be held, you have to enjoy it. That's what the reality was.
But that is what I don't agree with.
Well, that was the reality. Whether you agree or not, that is for the council to take it. That was the reality.
Mr. Witness, you huffing and puffing at the same time. You say something, you accept that you said it, then you turn around and you say you did not say it. But I would leave that issue and I'll move on. Do you think that what happened was right?
Sikkuɗa ko waɗano ɗon no yaadi e laawol.
Whether what happened was right? No, that cannot be right.
Are you proud of it as a police officer?
Non a wawa ɗum hollirde.
No, I cannot be proud of that.
Are you disappointed with all of you?
Ɗum non no wondema yakki ɓernde mon onon fof.
I would not call it disappointed. I wouldn't call it that. It was wrong, yes, but then the circumstances were such that what you do. If there was an option, yes. But if no option, you do what is the possibilities around.
Mr. Witness, you sit here, you said you saw the illegalities going on. You would not even tell your colleagues that this was illegal.
A wiide do a yii piiji manduɗa yadani e laawol kono hay pour haalana e yimɓe manduɗa ko aye ɓen liggodita a haalanani ɗumen.
Yes, I wouldn't tell them. That does not make.
But isn't that a failure of your duty? You are a police officer. a violation of a right is here happening right in front of you.
ɗum de no wawno basal wadde liggema par ce que an sa woni police aɗo yiya goɗɗo no yakka luwa e yeeso ma acca ɗum noon.
It was criminal.
Take it to be a failure, can't you?
No, tell us. You tell the commission. It was a failure. You tell the commission. It's not for me to take it as anything. You tell the commission.
hunde ma anduɗa yakkima
You
rek
failed in your duties.
on mbaɗani liggemon no foti yarde ni.
I had no choice.
But you failed.
If I failed, I had no choice.
Sita
kadi e golle an ɗen awa hari feere ala toon
But do you first agree that you have failed?
kono a foti a jaɓina gonga e liggem ɗo a yani ko fotno ɗon wadde on waɗani ɗum a yani.
I agree that there was a responsibility that I have that I could have done, but I didn't do it, which was as a result of the circumstances.
mi jaɓi wondema ko dongal mi joguino ko ɗon ko ligge komi fonno wadde kono mi waɗani no feewi no kono sa yi mi waɗiran noon kadi kono affaire on walorno noon ko ɗum daki.
And that is failure on your part to do what you are professionally obliged to do.
ɗum noon no wawno dal on yani wayri on waɗani ko on fotno wadde ko ligge mon o ko holliri no o foti wadde wayri on waɗani ɗum no wawno dal on yani.
I will still say yes, but qualified by the circumstances.
eyi ha joni wiye eyi kono ha joni mi nandirilay ɗum e affaire on mi no walorno noon.
What were the circumstances?
hoɗum woni dalilaji ɗi.
Well, except if you want me to repeat myself, I said the characters within that environment, the environment was tense, intimidating, fearful. So what else? Those were the circumstances.
wala tan mi rewto saabu mi haalino no ɓaawa ko ɗum woni no affaire on walorno noon no golle ɗe walorno noon no suuru ndu wonirno noon kañum ma yimɓe waɗa naata yalta on ko ɗum tan wima ko ɗum naɓiri noon affaire o.
You were not to give a statement. You were not the person being investigated. Okay? What were the circumstances that compelled you to close your eyes to these illegalities that were ongoing?
wona an foti okkude haalaji manuɗa woɓɓe ɓaŋa ɗum e wona an ɓe lamdoto kono noon ko hoɗum waɗi ha joni a jaɓani laarde a uɓɓi guite maɗen e sengo piiji mo anduɗa ɗin yaɗani e laawol manuɗa ɗum no woni e nder ligge ko mbaɗɗon ɗon ko hoɗum waɗi ɗum.
Can't you let me to say that the situation was tense, it was fearful, it was intimidating. So, and that is to everybody. That was what we are discussing here. So, if you are trying to get me out of that now, and you want me to say something different.
No. You were in fact. Could we listen to one another? You were in fact avoiding saying that was to everybody. But you have accepted that now. We're very happy that you have done so. But the question is, for you, apart from the existence of these characters around, what was it that compelled you to saw the illegalities and you just closed your eyes to them as if they did not exist? What was it?
There was no exceptional circumstance apart from what the realities were on the ground in that venue. That was the same only circumstance.
I don't understand. There were no exceptional circumstances
outside,
except the realities on the ground.
Outside what obtains in that room. That's what I'm saying.
Yes,
the room is what was the determiner.
So what was it? What was it that compelled you to close your eyes to what was happening?
hoɗum noon waɗi uɓɓuɗa guite ma ɗen e a laarani piiji no woniri e nder suudu ndu ko watte on ko ɗum waɗi ɗum.
Closing eyes in trying to draw the attention was like you never know what the repercussion would be, so you don't venture. You need to be sensitive to your own security.
Famin kino andan ko e gon ɗon ko affaire no walor non sabu an tigi sa wiya waɗa e ɗum ko arota kon ɓaawa ma kadi a anda ko honto yeyoyta hoore ma.
Did you members of the panel discuss it?
onon wonɓe e nder panel o on yewtuno ɗum na?
Discuss what? Like to see
the situation
no
that obtained within the panel.
I think council anyway. If my memory serves me right, we've gone past that. Do you want to come back again?
Just answer the question.
We've all felt intimidated.
Thank you for accepting that, even though it's 2 hours late. But the question is, did you discuss what was going on at the panel, that these were illegalities? Did you discuss that?
Milamdo so rekolum mon onon hore mon wombe nder sudundu nder panel o onon hakkunde mon onon tigi on yewtuno ko wonno e nder sudundu wonno dal no hulbini yadani e lawol on yewtani dum hakkunde mon de.
What I can recall was the presence of these other characters that we discussed.
Men yoti don men hakkunda me dum woni be do yimbe biya sinnabe tawa argol dum be arabe tawa men kam ni gollata don dum men yoti.
Did you discuss that tortures were ongoing?
On yewtuna don na pour holla wondema be yimbe wobbe addabe don be lappuno dum.
Yes, we discussed myself. I had right. I'm sorry.
Mingi hydra msiki mtanyini wondama mingi hydra me yoti dum don.
And did you decide to just go along with the situation?
So joni on laari dal do dey fadu men yada e ko watte ni rek men yada e dum.
There was no suggestion of going otherwise. There was just a matter of expressing what you feeling was, but not to think otherwise.
So by continuing and by going along, you have accepted to participate in an unlawful enterprise.
Wari on jabi pour on yada e haaju on no woniri don. On jabi e piji din no walori don. Awa joni e no wawno dal onon kala on jabi pour on wada haaju fi goddum manuda yada ni e lawol.
Enterprise, I don't understand, but what I know is...
Okay, call it engagement. An unlawful engagement. You carried out an unlawful activity, which was obtaining confessions from people under circumstances which render it illegal.
No, rek man wawa wiide pour bangol kongol juude yimbe manduda no bangiri bin halaje juude mabbe yadani e lawol. So joni ko dum men haltani don non sita jabi ko non wonirina.
Like I said earlier, this was also mentioned. I will repeat it again because we said anything that has to do with law, if it was lawful or unlawful, I cannot contest that.
En halino dum bawno wonde ma kala ko adana ma wadi bade dande ma wonde ma yadani e lawol tay luwa on jaban dum do mi en borondirta dum.
Why don't you just answer the question, yes or no?
Abawa we direct ha wala han.
I think I need to explain so that you also will not be a matter of you making the statement and I say yes to it. It is me who is making the statement, Council.
Mr. Witness, this is the art of cross-examination. The cross-examiner puts the proposition for the witness to adopt.
The cross-examiner does not make statements.
Oh, is that so?
You don't need to make my statement. I am here. That this is not, even if you are cross-examining me, Council, I think you also need to appreciate the fact that I am the one who is testifying.
Oh, Mr. Witness, okay, let's not argue over these things. Please, just answer the question.
Okay, go ahead.
Right?
Jarani men podondira. Joni non what affaire jabola ko mi lamdi mako.
Don't interpret this. It's just a repetition. I have to break down the questions, takes the baby steps and arrive.
Okay.
You knew the illegalities were going on, correct? Correct? Answer.
The illegalities on statement record, is that what you say?
The tortures, the duress, the intimidating and fearful environment, you know that was existing.
Yes, Council.
And you knew that under such circumstances, to obtain a confession would be unlawful, correct?
Yes.
You closed your eyes to all those facts, correct?
Yes.
You went along and took the statements, correct?
Yes.
Knowing fully well that the circumstances were not the ones under which a statement could lawfully be taken, correct?
Yes.
So in effect, you agree therefore that you participated in an exercise that was unlawful, correct?
No, I wouldn't agree that I participated because in an unlawful exercise as you portray it.
But are you allowed by law to obtain a confession unlawfully? Are you allowed to do that by law?
Council law, if you will allow me, I think law becomes law depending on the government in place.
Are you serious?
That's because the thing is, these laws we are talking about, we are the same laws that obtains in the 22 years. So if we were there and people at that time, I felt, you know, I said the environment has warranted me.
I am confused.
No.
Mi famani ko wonda halde konde.
I don't understand what you are saying.
Let me just rephrase what I wanted to say then.
Law becomes law, what?
I said law becomes law depending on who is at the governing. That's what it is, even though it's written, but the application makes the law what it should be. We've seen that happen. Because there is nothing wrong with the laws. There has not been any changes in the law. But we were constrained.
Mr. Witness,
we were constrained.
Why don't you just answer the question?
Sede on kon tay awawata rek jabade landol komi hal landima.
Instead of going on the tangent and muddying the waters, just answer.
Ida rewa e lawol ngol anduda ko ndiyan hibba don. Jabo rek komi landima ko.
You knew fully well that all this was illegal. You knew it.
Antiga andi dun ko wonno ko wadde kon fo yadani e lawol.
You knew it.
Antigi hida andi.
Yet you decided to go ahead with it. Didn't
Kadi
you?
on rewingol
Yes.
on lawol rek yadu don e ko anduda yadani e luwa on.
Fine, thank you. You decided to keep quiet about the whole thing, and as a result you came up with a report which was the basis of the prosecution of the accused persons.
Oui,
Correct?
dun don fo on andi dun ko yadane loi kon fo on deƴƴi e mum yaadu don e mum e nder ñawore nden kadi dum yaha fawa e dow be anduda ko nanganobe yibe fawane be fala libude laamu wonnodo do.
Would you respond now?
Yes.
Hey, counsel.
And these people were prosecuted on the basis of your reports.
Bebe ñawama te ko report mo windu don on ko e dow dun don be ñawa.
Correct?
I think it's on the basis of their statements because the report was just a summary of what was obtained.
No, miss- The report is the compendium of all the materials that you have gathered, including the evidence. So that was the basis of the prosecution. It's not just their statements.
Onon ko kongudi yettudon e juude mabbe den ko don be rewi be ñaawi be.
But what you said makes it even worse. They were prosecuted on the basis of statements that you knew were illegally obtained.
Oui,
Very well. That is the content of the report. I'm not saying something outside. You know. The report is a summary of the statement. So that illegality you talk about is the same process.
Report on, don't go on, report on,
I can state there was nothing introduced in that report that is not contained in the file. Nothing. Even though it was illegally obtained, like we all agreed, but that was the fact. We summarized the statements, and then individual responsibilities was and if you have the report, you can go through it and see. You don't see anything outside what is in the file.
I honestly don't know what you're talking about.
mimi anda ko wonda halde konde gonga mi famani ko wonda.
But I'll just go back to my line of questioning.
Oui, mi rewto to kadi no mi landorto no mano.
You knew that the report or the statements were illegally obtained.
Antigi ida andi di kongudi di be jetta e be yimbe tuma be ne be fala libude laamu wonno do on no jettirdo mono yadani e lawol.
Correct?
Yes, they were obtained under an environment that is not conducive and under duress.
donc gonga komin ƴettano ko konnguli maɓɓe ni ko ɗi ƴettete e ɗum koye ɓitte ɗi ƴetta.
As a police officer,
wayde an ka police
do you accept or do you believe
a
that,
jaɓi
that
walla
people should be prosecuted on the basis of illegally obtained evidence?
a jaɓine neɗɗo no wawi ñawede e dow konnguɗi ɗi annduɗa ɗi ƴettama e jungo makko te yadani e loi.
That should not be fair.
ɗum ɗon fewani e hoore on tigi.
And you know that that scheme, the whole arrangement, the way it was structured and the way it was done, it was all aimed at obtaining confessions willy-nilly in order to produce results that Yaya Jammeh wanted.
non tigi ɗon andi ɗin laaɓi no waɗirɗon ɗum noon pour ƴetton konnguɗi ɓeɗon ɗin ko pour waɗonmo rek ɗo annduɗane to Yaya Jammeh yiɗira e mo no waɗirɗon mo no.
That's the truth, isn't it?
ko ɗum woni gonga on ndax wona ɗum.
That's not the way I perceive it.
mi wona no mi yiri ɗum de.
Okay. Who sent in the junglers?
omo nili jongulaɓe ɓen.
I have no idea, Council.
yala hayde miijoye ɗum ɗon.
Mr. Witness, this is now notorious fact.
ɗum ɗo kay yimɓe ɓen fof andi ɗum joni ɗum kay koko anda joni.
It is known by everybody that the junglers came from State House.
yimɓe ɓen fof andi joni jongulaji ɗin ko State House ɓe
No
immo.
matter how you pretend, everybody
hay
knows.
sa waɗi hoorema anda yimɓe ɓen fof andi joni.
Is it true or false?
ko gonga walla wona gonga.
The junglers came from State House.
jongulaji ɗin
I
ko
came
State
to know
House
that,
ɓe
yes,
immoto.
yeeso seeɗa mi annduno wondema ko toon ɓe yi ɗum ko
But
gonga.
you knew that Martin came from State House.
an tigi yiɗa andi Martins ko State House
I knew
o
Martin
immi.
was part of the state guards, yeah.
mi anndi fawande
You,
wondema
you
Martin
knew
ko toon.
Tumbul Tamba came from State House.
a andi noon e Tumbul Tamba ko State House o immoto.
Yes.
You knew that Musa Jammeh Malia Mungu came from State House.
a andi noon e Moussa Jammeh alias Malia Mungu ko State House o immoto no.
Yes, Council.
Eyi kanko.
The reason why you were fearful was, in fact, because you had these so-called characters all from State House overseeing and looking what you guys were doing.
sa yi onon fof on hulino
Among other things,
ko
yes.
ɓe yimɓe a imminoɓe State House ɓe tato ɓe o haali ko ɗum tawi hulɗon onon fof waɗɗon ko waddu ndu waɗɗon ndu.
In fact, you knew that those people were sent there to see what you guys were doing and were constantly reporting back to Yaya Jammeh. Isn't that
non
true?
tigi on andino ɓe koɓe
That's
nilaɓe
a possibility,
immiɓe
because
State
this has
House
to do
ɓe
with
kadi ɓe
toppling of the
rutoto ɓe
government,
haalna
so
konnguɗi
I'm sure he
waɗa
will be
ɗin ton
interested.
Yaya Jammeh.
It's a possibility.
But you all knew he was interested.
onon tigi on andi Yaya Jammeh no heɓno interest e ɗum.
I cannot dispute that.
Yes, and in fact, that is the reason why he said that they would send GRTS to air the confessions publicly.
wi
Isn't
ko
that
ɗum
the
tawi
truth?
ɓe niluno GRTS pour ɓe hollitira fof ko wonno wadde kon ton.
Isn't that true?
nda ɗum wona
Issue
gonga.
of GRTS,
Isn't that true?
I know GRTS came there because I saw them, but how they came, I don't know, and I don't have any interaction with the GRTS.
ɗi tan GRTS kono no ɓe arde ɗon
Not
mi
the
annda
least, not a single day that I saw even a staff of GRTS. Me,
eyi ñalande
And
wotere
that applies
heɓaki
to
wondema wiye mi yi toon
most
ko
panel
ɗon
members.
GRTS.
Doesn't that in fact show that they were sent there by a higher authority?
nda ɗum hollani ne nilɗoɓe ton en ko nilal ngal koko dow immori.
I cannot doubt, contest that. That may be true.
ɗon no wawi wonde gonga.
So all this put together just shows that Yaya Jammeh's presence and his visits loomed large.
o wi ɗum fof hollitira ene Yaya Jammeh pour andingol yimɓe ɓen fof ne kanko emo woodi fof yimɓe ɓen fof yii ɗum.
In the minds of the panelists and dictated what they would do or what they would not do.
ɗum fof wona e hakkillaji yimɓe ɓe annduɗa ko ɓen joƴƴina e on panel pour ɓe fof ɓe anda ko yiɗi kon.
You all knew what Yaya Jammeh wanted.
onon fof andino ko yinno kon.
I think, to be realistic, this is not about what Yaya Jammeh wanted from the start, because this is about people wanting to topple him. So, obviously, whatever happens later, if he is interested, I didn't know about the coming of the GRTs. I was, not me alone, in fact, most of us were in that room.
Can you answer the question asked?
min mi faala jaaboɗa landal ngal landiɗa e landaɗe ngol.
All of you knew what Yaya Jammeh wanted.
non fo on andi no Yaya Jammeh ko falano ko
He wanted confessions
falano yimbe be haala
by the suspected coupists.
be anduda be nanganoma ne ko be falano libude mansa ko ndama ko on
That may be
false.
that may be known by the people he sent, because I've never talked to, or neither somebody talked to me about what Yaya Jammeh said. And I was not in the dealing with these suspects in that light.
All right. You agree that the men in black, do you agree that they came from State House?
ajabine ben borni no be din tonci baleji ko State House be immi
And these were the people who were beating the suspects.
ko be wonno piide be anduda be nanganoma te be fawane be falle libude lamungo
I said I believe so. Yes.
And doesn't that show that they were beaten so that they would come and confess to the allegations?
da dum hollitiran ne be piye be pour yo be aru be fala be hala ko be fala halde ko
Council, I cannot confirm that. I know
ta gongendinde
I cannot confirm that.
ra gongendinde
If
Because that instruction was not given to me, and they didn't tell me what they were there for. But whatever they were doing, if it is instruction from
well, Mr. Witness, play it no matter how you want.
you
said these people were tortured and brought before you guys and they made confession. So obviously those tortures would have been mainly to extract confessions. Would you agree with that?
I cannot disagree with that.
Exactly. Exactly. So he sent the soldiers. They came and tortured these people. Those people were brought before you and they made confessions. Don't you see that you have done what Yaya Jammeh wanted?
I will not see it that way too, still.
And how would you see it?
Whether I have done what Yaya Jammeh wanted, I'm
yes,
not sure.
by recording the confessions.
Well, unfortunately, this...
just hear me out. He ensured you guys recorded the confessions. And he sent in GRTS. They broadcasted this confession. As if these confessions were genuinely obtained. Isn't that what happened?
But they were displayed on GRTS.
And those confessions were written down by you?
By the police, yes.
So don't you see that Yaya Jammeh has got what he wanted?
Probably, that's a possibility. But the line, you know, the
don't
chain.
dilute the truth.
No, but you just understand that
possibility, that is what was desired.
The line of communication, you must also know that not everybody is privy to talking to Yaya Jammeh. I've never spoken to Yaya Jammeh.
Did he have to talk to you for you to know exactly what was going on? You were even scared to raise an objection. Were you just scared of men in uniform, or were you scared of the authority behind them?
It's not the uniform. That's
So what was it?
It's the authority behind it.
And who was that authority?
Because the leadership was Yaya Jammeh.
Exactly, precisely the point.
Yes,
Welcome back.
With that one, yes. But if you want to make it look in a way, I would not be able to answer it that way. But I know that my fears, if I was fearful of anything, it's not the uniform, because I'm a uniform officer. I see uniform people every day. So that is not the uniform that was intimidating. It was the characters there, the different people who come from different areas, and you will never know what they are up to. So that was the cause of concern.
Okay, put it to us in very, very simple terms.
e dow laawol ngol annduɗaa kala nanɗo waawa e faamude ko wonɗa haalde ko
So that a primary 3 child sitting at home would understand.
wa hay cukalel wongel primary 3 jooɗingel ka galle waawa e faamude ko haalta ko
They too need to know what happened.
ɓe kamɓe kadi ɓe foti anndude ko haalta kon niide
You guys did what Yaya Jammeh wanted.
onon waɗi ko Yaya Jammeh faalanoo kon
Obtain confessions from these people, from these suspects.
ƴettugol konnguɗi ɓeeɗo
It was broadcast to the whole country
hollaama e nder leydi ndin fof ka télé
for everybody to believe that this was the truth.
yimɓe ɓen fof pour sikkane ko hollitira kon ko ɗum woni goonga on
When those confessions were obtained by torture, duress, intimidation,
e
and
dow
what
ɗum
have
ɗo ɗi konnguɗi ɗi ƴettaaɗi e yimɓe ɓe ɓe annduɗaa ɓe tuumal ko ɓe fawanooɓe ko ɓe piyaaɓe haa pari on tuma ɓe fuɗɗa areede landeede pour ɓe haala ko ɓe haali ko
would you agree that that's the truth?
ndah a jaɓayne ɗum ko ɗum wonno goonga on
The truth council is
gonga on ko woni kon council
these people were brought
ɓe ko ɓe adda
and their conditions of appearance suggest they were tortured
yirunoɓe ɗon no ɓe addira noon kala yiɗoɓe miijoto wonde makko
and they were interrogated, interviewed,
joɗɗinaɓe landa
and statements obtained from them.
konnguli maɓɓe ɗi ƴetta e jungo maɓɓe ɗi winda
And these statements were summarized
ɗi konnguli ɗi ɓe jonɗi ɗin ko ɗi raɓɓindina
and a report written and sent to the AG's chamber.
gila ɗum heeɓi ɓe windi report on report ɓe jetti ɗum ɓe nafi
That was the instruction of Yaya Jammeh.
all
Yes,
right.
that's what we know.
Well, with the witness, you have gone back to the
Joni a
person
rottike
you
ɓaawo
were in the morning, and you sanitized and window dressed the issue.
joni a laɓɓin a ruttike ɓaawo hiɗa fitta laawi ɗin pour wawa heɓude ko faalɗa ko
You have gone back, you have sanitized and window dressed the issue.
a fitti a ɓornimo wutte mo annduɗa ne ko laɓɓintinaɗo
Let's take it sentence by sentence.
joni ƴettiren mo koyngal par koyngal
konngol e konngol
They were brought in
ɓe addano
in circumstances that suggest
e dow alhaala mo anndunoɗa ne hollitirayne
they were tortured.
piyano
They were brought before us, they were interrogated,
ɓe addano yeeso mon landiɗon ɓe
statements taken.
binduɗon konnguɗi maɓɓe ɗin
These statements were summarized,
konnguɗi maɓɓe ɗin raɓɓinɗinano
a report made,
binduɗon report
and sent to AG chambers.
waɗɗon naɓuɗon mo AG chambers
This is better than Photoshop.
ɗum ɗo no ɓuri photoshop moƴƴude
It's been stripped of all the vestiges of illegality.
woni ɗum ɗon fof ittama kala ko annduɗa yaadani e loi on seɗɗimo fof on ittimo hen
And packaged to look nice.
waɗɗon mo paquet ha laaɓa
That is not what happened.
wona ɗum waɗi de
This my statement is in response to the issue of say Yaya Jammeh said this. This is what whatever I said is in record.
mi haali fof
Oh, there is nothing I would say now that can change what
Wala ko mi haala
Well, you just tried, you just failed.
No, I don't think there is an issue of trying and failing. What trials and
Okay,
failures are you talking about?
let's dissect it.
joni senditiren mo
They were tortured and brought before you, correct? That's what you
piiɓe
said
ɓe
before.
addi oɓe e tawde maɗa ko ɗum
That's on record,
haalnoɗa
Council, yes.
You agree with that?
eyyi
Good.
Jabi.
And they were interviewed in environment that was intimidating.
te kadi
Correct.
nde ɓe landotonoɓe kon dinguirama andunoɗa ɗon no hulɓini
Yes.
That bit you skipped in your summary.
ɗum ɗon a
And
diwimo e nder haala ma
when the statements were written, they were written with the full knowledge by those who were taking the statements that this was illegal.
onon
Correct.
ƴettaynoɓe statement ji maɓɓe ɗi walla konnguɗi maɓɓe ɗin onon tigi on andine no konnguɗi ɗin ƴettirano noon wo yaadani e laaw
Correct?
eyyi
And when you guys put together the report, you knew that this was not an honest report.
onon tigi nde windayno ɗo report on
About what
andine
has
ɗum wona
happened in
report
those
mo
panels.
annduɗa himo yaadi e
Or
laawol
in
kono
that panel. You knew that. It
Antigua
was
and
not an honest, bona fide report about what has happened. in
wona
that panel.
report mo annduɗa ne himo yaadi e laawol no windirɗon mo noon wona noon
You agree?
antiɗa andin
To the extent that what they said was exactly that was summarized.
No,
mi windi ɗon mi
Ah,
raɓɓini
no. Well, if you force me
sa forsilam min
to to say that this pillar is God, and I say it,
o pila ko Allah.
and you submit that report, that is what I have said.
And then windi dum anabi jonitiri yimbe be anduda ko.
But what would change the character is the fact that I was forced. If you omit to say that I was forced, the report becomes something completely different.
Sa windani nek a force am pour mi hala dum andi report on yara no yari no be wiene ko gonga ko min hali ko jonitir aka report.
You see, there was this culture of faking reports in the NIA, isn't
ko
it?
ada wonno ka NIA anduda ne on wada on winda report jidi anduda wona non no di windira non wona non di yari,
Which is used to prosecute people.
non ko dum don be rewata e gol don on report be ha be nyaawa yimbe be.
Isn't that true?
Won dum da dum wona gonga.
You want me to answer that, Council?
Yes.
I did that.
No,
Allah.
I am not saying that you did.
Mi hala ni ko an wadi.
At that
I
time,
am saying that there was a culture of
ko mi woni halde ko
producing reports that were not 100% truthful. That
woni no
these
ada NIA
reports
be anduda ne be winda ne report jidi anduda ne yadani e lawol ngol anduda ne ko non report jidi fonno yaro
contained false information,
ko ngudi wonay di don din fo di anduda haray fo ko fenande wonata go
which was used as a basis to prosecute people,
tet ko e ding report ji be rewayno be nyaawa yimbe be
or the evidence fabricated. This was the norm.
I cannot confirm.
sede yaji di anduda no e report on ko dum don be rewayno be nyaawa be yimbe be anduda ko fawabe ko anduda ne yadani e lawol.
I honestly,
weren't you prosecuted on the basis of false information?
ndax an be nyaawani ma e dow report mo anduda ne ko be fawma ko a wadani dum.
that was not from the NIA. If there was any false information, and
Didn't part of it come from the NIA?
ndax report on sengo woto ngo wona NIA.
is that the one you are asking or general? Because Council, you need to be, you have to guide me and guide me right. Because if you are now telling me
Mr.
to
Witness,
confirm,
I can
no,
tell
you have to guide me right.
I can tell you that I have 20-something years of experience of doing.
That is not my issue.
So,
That is not my problem.
I am guiding you right.
No, you are not guiding me right. If you want me to attest to statements or reports at the NIA when I was not there,
prosecuted a case? Have you ever appeared in court and prosecuted a case?
you come to that. If that is
Have you ever done so?
Da amedi wadde dum.
yes,
Which one?
it's against me.
Oh my God. Can you prosecute a case against yourself?
Oh, I
Did a case?
I didn't get
So
that
you
right.
have zero experience prosecuting a case.
Ala experience.
You want to tell me how to question or guide witnesses?
Awata lan halande
No,
honno be wadi nawita.
let's proceed.
I cannot match you,
let's
but I have been
proceed.
prosecuting cases when I was with the police.
Let's proceed. Let's proceed. Let's not go into these things.
Well, if you
No,
are
I
telling-
will not do that.
No. If
I
you
will
are
ask
asking
questions.
me about NIA making statements or reports that are when I don't have an idea about that, and you want me to answer, then that means you are trying to make me look.
If you did not say it,
Joni mi acca dum don
Please.
mi selay dum don. Joni
I'll just put it aside as if you did not
mi
say it.
selay dum don bayri halani.
What?
Ko kongudi fewnadi di anduda di yadani.
Except if the coup d'etat was fake, it was a creation.
Yes.
The tortures, I know there is no way anybody can justify.
But you are here justifying it.
Hida do hida hala.
I am telling you that what you guys have did can only be described.
Dane ko kongudi di anduda ko fewnadi tum di yadani e loi.
All of you were complicit in covering up a state-sponsored torture.
Onon fo o ko e dow ballal ngal anduno dane on walli laamu wonnodo do on pour wawa yimbe piide yimbe ben ko anduda yadani e lawol.
And you came up with a report with the cover of proprietary when it was all wrong.
Ardudon e report mo andudane ko fewnado kala nando mo walla yi mo sikayne ko hal don ko gonga.
It was tainted completely by illegality.
Non fo ko anduda ko muri mo kon fo yadani e loi.
Do you agree with that?
Ndaha jabidu.
Where the law speaks, I don't disagree.
And because of your conduct,
Oi e dow waddu mondu.
before that, I had asked you this question before, that you knew these trials were going on, and none of you had the courage to say that these confessions
no yaha te hay goto e mon wawani heɓude nde ɓernde pour yaltude haalane ɓe ɗi konngudi ɗi ɓe jonnuɗo ni non wona noon ɗi yaari.
Yes, and my response was, I don't have any right to go to any court to insist on making myself heard, and I don't even have the mind.
So witness, you recall you were prosecuted.
A andi noon ɓe ñaawima iɗa wawi andutude ɗum.
And the person, one of the supposed star witnesses of the prosecution, what happened with him? Can you tell the commission?
Wi ɓe mo andunoɗane ko kanko ɓe darnino pour wona seede e dow ñawore ma nde ko honno wannomo.
He was arrested and charged for perjury.
I am not coming to that. Let's come to what happened at the time of your prosecution.
Wi min mi arani e ɗum ɗon de joni waɗen daroɗen ko anduɗa e nder ñawore ma nden ko wanno ko.
About what is testimony?
Yes.
When you say what happened, that's why I answered this.
What happened during your trial?
Joni ko honno waɗi e nder
When he
ñawore
was
ma
called as a witness, what
nde ɓe
happened?
noddunomo ne pour o daro o wona seede e dow ñawore ma nde.
Testified.
What did
no
he
seede
say?
yagal ngal mako ngal.
He said he has no idea about what was written in that statement of his.
O wi o ala hay miijo o ala
But
anda
then
ko andi
this was his
ko winda kon
statement, was
e
it?
statement o.
Kono on tuma ko ɗum ɗon wonno konngol makko kanko.
According to him, no.
Mr. Witness, he said
Oui,
that he was bribed
ɓe yobnomo
and made to say that statement,
pour o haala ngol ɗon konngol.
but the statement was not true.
Konngol ngol wonani gonga.
He refused to incriminate you because he does not possess the facts that are contained in the statement.
Wi o sali pour o nannama an sabuna ko wonno e nder ngol konngol windangol ngol wonano gonga.
And that he was bribed by the DPP
Wi ko DPP o yoɓunomo pour o waɗa ɗum
to give the false statement against you.
pour o haala ngol ɗon konngol ngol anduɗane wona e gonga e dow ñawore ma nde.
Isn't that what happened?
Ndax wona ɗum wanno.
I think you are missing the facts.
What happened?
Before all that, Counsel, can you give us a bit of context of this trial?
What
Because
happened
it just
was,
came on and the two of you
Yes.
seem to be the ones who know.
yes, what happened was he was charged for
Abuse of
alleged
office and
abuse of office and taking money.
corruption kind.
Is it official corruption? Exactly what the charges are. But for taking money from one so-called Christopher Baji. And a star witness was supposed to be the person who should come and testify against him. The DPP made arrangements with the witness and got an incriminating statement. The witness came to court and said, I did not make this statement. They tried to bribe me to make this statement. I refuse. And he was acquitted. Isn't that what happened?
Yes, but the facts I want to correct.
Okay, correct the facts.
Yes, the statement, according to him, was written during the time of investigation at the agency.
Yes.
And he traveled out and he was made to come back. When he came, the DPP called him, according to him, that you have, this is a statement, this is the only statement that can put this guy in trouble. We will want you to go and testify, and there is a package for you. Nothing was given to him.
250,000.
280,000. All right, there is a package for you. If you testified against this man, then you come and get your money. So he went. He told them, okay, they agreed. We went, and after taking the oath, he said what he knew, because he said he would not say anything that to incriminate when it was not true. So
And didn't he say that the prosecution attempted to bribe him?
so
o wiyano ne
that's at the office of the
taƴoɓe
DPP.
ñawore nden ɓe falnomo yoɓude.
So we agree with that.
Joni
Correct?
en d' accord e ɗum ɗo.
Yes.
So
The DPP, that's what he told, because he was later arrested and charged for perjury.
And then what happened?
And we were all going to the same vehicles, the same mile two together. Then he'd confer with us to say this was what happened. He was offered 280,000 by the DPP, and this was in the office of the DPP, Chenya, to go and say anything against me. But his conscience would not allow.
exactly. He's what? Say
he
His
said
what?
his conscience
Would not?
allow him, because he said he would not take oath and then go and lie. That's what he said.
Exactly. This is a person who chose, if what he did was true, he chose to act honorably, isn't it?
ko neɗɗo mo annduɗaane kanko o jaɓi darade e dow goonga on so tawi ko waɗi konko goonga o dariki e dow goonga on
Against all risks against the state.
wi ay kala ko annduɗa no woodi e hulal ko annduɗa immoto e dow laamu ngun
This was not a matter of risk against the state.
It was.
No.
This is a man who was going to accuse the DPP of bribery.
ko neɗɗo mo annduɗa o fawayno DPP on o faala mo yoɓude
And you were a senior officer who was interdicted at the time.
an ko an wonno neɗɗo laamu mo annduɗa ne ka mawɗo e nder laamu ngun te ɓe fawanoma fawde e tuumal ngal
The
annduɗa
state was prosecuting you,
an ko laamu on wonnoma ñaawde
isn't it?
Yeah, what I did, I would still say.
Exactly. So this guy chose to act according to his conscience because he saw what was happening was illegal, isn't it?
kanko o jaɓi rewde laawol ngol annduɗa ne ko ngol ɗon laawol o foti rewde te kadi o yi'iine ɓayri ko neɗɗo mo annduɗa neɗɗo peewal o jaɓanima nannude
Isn't it?
dahonaɗo
That's what he said, yes.
And you were happy.
hande a weltinoɗe
I was not sad when I was in mile 2.
My friend, tell us the truth. You were happy. You were excited. You were going to be released
I will
because of the intervention of this person who chose to act honorably.
a weltinode sabuna oɗo neɗɗo kay o daraninoke ma pour ɓe wawma accutude
Please, my issues.
Just answer the question.
No,
Mr. Witness.
this is not a really.
Just
It's a matter.
answer the question.
No, I will not answer
You
it the way
were
you want.
happy.
Not the way you want me to answer it. With this one, this is not a matter that is relevant here.
Even if you choose not to answer,
Yes.
the record would speak for itself.
Yes.
The commission
It's not a
would
matter
know
for
how you felt.
jaɓani mo haalde
Trrc.
bindi ɗin fof
No,
holla e mo
that's
no
why I
yaari
raised the question whether or not it is
Even though he I should say something, but because I
Hold
was
on a
detained for
second.
2 years.
Hold on a second. So the link of acting honorably by that individual, and he
No,
became
Mr. Chair,
beneficiary.
what I am trying to say is I am trying to draw parallels here.
Yeah, fine. That's the
Okay.
link I'm looking for.
Somebody was tasked to do the same violation against him that he had done against others. And this guy acted honorably for him, leading to his acquittal. How did he behave? How did he conduct himself?
ko waddu ndu o waɗi ndin ko
That's
honno
why
o waɗi
proceed.
that's why the dilly-dallying, now he wouldn't
Well,
answer the
it's
question.
that dilly-dallying I want.
I don't think this choice of words of yours against me, sometimes I don't like to. I must say this. Dilly-dallying for what? I was in mile 2 based on that statement for 22 months. For 20 months. Based on that
Oh,
statement of
but some people were in mile 2 for years because you knew and never said any word that the reason why they were in mile 2, all those statements were bogus.
Yes,
And you
yes.
sat there and kept quiet. You kept mum because you were not the one suffering it.
ya andino no ɓe woniri toon noon ko naɓiɓe
And that is how it feels, Mr. Witness.
That is true, Council.
Exactly. So let's leave it at that and then we move on.
Yeah, okay,
joni
let's move
accire
on.
monere yawten
You ought to have and should have acted honorably by showing that the basis of the detention, the incarceration of these people and sentenced to death, sentenced to life, sentenced to 25 years was because people like you refused to do what the law required you to do.
ayi ɓe yimɓe fof woɓɓe
That is
ɓen ɓe
what
waɗiɓe ɗum ɗo ɓe sokiɓe ngir duuɓi maɓɓe ɗin fof woɓɓe ɓen duuɓi nogas e joyi woɓɓe ɓen ɓe fotuɓe warde ko wona onon ɓe annduɗa ne on waɗani ligguey mon nde on manki wadde ligguey mon ɗen no loi on haaliri mon
That is what happened.
ko ɗum waɗi
Do you regret it?
nda annimsi ɗum
There are regrets over this.
Yes,
but
I-
Do you regret it? Do you regret what you guys have
I've
done?
regretted what had happened to all these people. And as far as I'm
Don't
concerned,
dilute the answer. Just answer me specifically on this particular issue, the work of the panel, this work you said you are not proud of. Do you regret what you guys have
yes,
done?
Council, yes,
Council,
yes. Yes.
Thank you very much. That's the honorable thing to do. What would you say to those people who were sentenced to life imprisonment or sentenced to death, sentenced to 25 years or God knows how many years imprisonment.
No, hebuda
By
ko
reason
haala
of these
ɓe
bogus
ɓe
reports
ɓe
you
ngi
guys have
ɗum maɓɓe
produced,
on
what would
fof
you say to them?
e duuɓi nogasi e joyi
Well, I will tell them it's regrettable that what had happened to them, particularly in terms of their tortures and all that stuff. I feel very saddened. And my own side of my conduct, I would request for kind of forgiveness from them.
I have no further questions.
Mi ala hay goto landal ngal mi landotoma kadi.
Thank you very much, Council, and thank you again, Mr. Demba Sow, for your testimony.
Chairman, we ajarama Council, ajarama Mr. Demba Sow, SADA Galmanga.
Commissioners, if you have any questions to ask, please indicate.
Joni ni himo landare commission aɓe kala jogiiɗo landi pour landagol seede on ina wawi hollirde.
If there are no questions, Mr. Sow, if you have... Oh, you didn't indicate the Commissioner. Go ahead and do so now.
Witness.
Diallo, oyimo heɓi ko lando seede on.
You said you sat there and you the victims who have been tortured for them to speak the truth.
Wiɗa anga joɗino ɗon pour walla ɓe anduɗa ɓe fawnoɓe pour ɓe faala liɓude laamu wonnoɗo ɗo on pour wawa ɓe wallude ɓe haala gonga.
How can they speak the truth when you know they have been beaten mercilessly?
Oyi honno ɓe haalirta gonga te anga andine ɓe ko piyaɓe ha ɓe faala ɓe jogori mayde.
And you are fully aware.
An tigi a andi ɗum.
And you are fully aware that
An tigi hiɗa andi ɗum ne.
It's because they have refused to say what the people want them to say.
A andine ko tahi ɗum ko ɓe sali haalde ko anduɗa ko ɗum yimɓe ɓen faalanoɓe haala onon yimɓe wonnoɓe ɗon ɓe.
Not necessarily the truth.
Wona gonga on.
Isn't that so?
Wona ɗum wonno.
I think, Chairman, I would want to withdraw this word help.
Siki Chairman,
The context of where I put it. Because it would suggest that I'm condoning a certain thing. So, unfortunately, what I had wanted to convey is like, there was a need for us to come up with a report. And that report can only be informed by recording their statements, regardless of the fact that they were tortured. So, meaning some of them, based on that report, they were even recommended to be used in a different way or even released. Possibly the word help has given another meaning to what I had wanted to say. That was not meant to justify. What happened at the commission was, at the panel was right.
This was a report based on statements that were coerced.
Yes.
Extorted, as the DG of NIA would say.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I don't have any problems with you using synonyms. And tense. Anyway, any more questions? No. Mr. Sow, you may proceed now to make your concluding remarks if you have any.
Thank you, Chairman, and Mr. Alhamdulillah for
Chairman ajarama joni mina fala wiide alhamdulillah
sitting before this honorable house.
Jodagol e dow o ndu suudu e yeso ndu yimbe ndu suudu no anduɗa yimɓe ɓen fof no waɗimo horma.
Giving the opportunity to say what I know about the 2006 foil coup investigations.
Pour mi jonnitira komi andi kon ko yaari e dow 2006 coup d'état mo anduɗa o falano wadde ɗo kono Allah walli o waɗani.
I wish to state that
mi fala haalde ɗum ne
whatever happened during that time,
e nder ɗum ɗon e oɗon waktu,
as far as our panel was concerned,
kala ko anduɗa panel amen on waɗino ɗum on tuma
had a lot of things to do with the circumstances that was at stake.
However, waɗirnomo fof ko anduɗa kono alhaali on panel on no wonirno noon no ɓe darnirnomo noon ko ɗum tahi ɗum yaari noon.
What had been meted to the suspect could not be justified by any other person
o wi kala ko waɗano ɓe ɗon ɓe annduɗa ɓe fawino ɓe ngol ɗon jamfa yaruɗo e dow laamu ngun hay goto wawata no mo andutude.
And I feel saddened and very remorseful
o wi te mi nimsi ɗum te kadi ɗum ko wonani la yurmede e mette ɓernde
to be associated with things like this.
o wi pour ɓe wawa inde am nane e yimɓe ɓe annduɗa ko ɓen waɗi ndun waɗu.
For those who know me,
yimɓe anduɓe lamɓe
can attest to you as to
ɓe
who
wawi
is
haalde
Mr. Sow.
min.
Unfortunately,
o wi kono ko annduɗa ne ɓayri yaarino
the system we had at the time
o wi on tuma laamu ngun no wonirno no
was really a bit of a problem.
o wi ko ɗum wonno probléme o
That you, in most cases, would hesitate
o wi e nder laabi buyi ɗi annduɗa ne ɓe ƴettay ɗi kono yarata no faaliraɗa non
to say what your feelings
a
are.
wawata haalde ko annduɗa ne ko ɗum miijiɗa.
And this, to an extent, had warranted a number of Gambians leaving the source of the Gambia
o wi ɗum waɗi ha yimɓe hewɓe gambiyan ɓe acciti gambia ɓe yeehi ɓe hoɗoyi nokku goo
for fear of whatever the thing could have happened to them.
ko annduɗa ne ko wawa so ɓe jooɗike ɗo ɗum no wawi ɓe heɓude.
And the never again,
o wi o never again mo TRRC holli
to me, is very important.
o wi ɗum no heɓi fayda.
Gambia is our homeland,
o wi gambia enen ko ɗo woni leydi men
and we are all duty bound to protect the interest and integrity of the
o wi
country.
enen fof ɗum ko wareef men pour wawen darade haɓoɗen ko annduɗa ne no faala addude bonnere e nder gambia.
The security of Gambia
o wi komi aynugol gambia
is a matter for all of us.
o wi ko enen fof foti darade waɗa ɗum.
What I have noticed
o wi kono komi yii
is that actively or passively,
o wi komi yimɓe ɓe annduɗa hiɓe hen walla ɓe ala hen
what had happened in the last 22 years
o wi ko waɗi kon e nder duuɓi nogasi e ɗiɗi yawtuɗi ɗi
had been a collective responsibility, in my view,
o wi kanko no yiiri ɗum ko yimɓe ɓen fof waɗi
for all those Gambians
o wi gambiyan ɓe ɓen fof
of the age of 18 and above.
o wi kala wonɗo heɓuɗo duuɓi sappo e jeetati e dow.
Unfortunately,
o wi ɗum ɓayri ko noon yaari
Gambia, we all know it to be a smiling coast naturally. That is the
enen
truth.
fof en andi gambia ko leydi jam. Yimɓe ɓen
For
fof no
it to
andi
turn
ɗum
to
woni
be
ko ngawa.
something else different,
o wi pour ɗum wawa waylitade wona goɗɗum ngo ko annduɗa ne wona ko andirano ko
if not for the hesitation of people
o wi so tawano yimɓe ɓen koɓe joɗoto ko no ndaara piiji ɗi annduɗa no waɗate fota wadde ɗi
to point out the facts,
o wi pour hollitira ko woni yaade kon gonga on yiye
maybe it could not have gotten this far.
wawa yaratano ni.
As a security officer,
o wi kanko ko liggotoɗo laamu mo annduɗa ne ko gaynako laamu o
and as somebody who forms part of the co-management of the Gambia Police Force,
o wi kanko kadi himo tawa e yimɓe ɓe annduɗa ne ko ɓen wallata Gambia Police Force no yarata yeeso no
we are inclined to reforms.
o wi hiɓe okka hiɓe foti rewde laawol ngol
And key among what we are doing
maɓɓe ɗin o wi koye wonɓe woni wadde kon jooni
is to ensure
o wi pour wawa hollitirde ne
officers are capacitized
o wi liggotoɓe ɓen hara hiɓe heeɓi
and knowledgeable in areas
mahamaji ɗi annduɗa hiɓe heeɓi kadi gandal ɗi annduɗa
that forms the basics of investigations.
o wi ko ɗum ɗon wawata ɓe wallude pour so hunde waɗi ɓe wawa andirde no ɗum yaari ni
In ensuring that people's rights are protected,
o wi pour ɗum ɗon wawane pour so ɓe ɗaɓɓutude ɗiɗon koɓe faala andude kon e yimɓe ɓen tawa ɓe bonnani
of course, without compromising security.
oyi ɗum ɗon kadi tawa argol yimɓe ɓen kadi no tawa he muɗum
So the leadership, as we speak at the Gambia Police Force,
o wi joni laawol ngol ɓe rewata ngol pour wawa yiide yeeso yagal ngal e Gambia Police Force
is bent on ensuring that
o wi ko ɗum ɗon ko ɗin laaɓi ɓe woni rewde
we have the right wherewithals,
comme
the right logistical support or
wi ɓe windi
human
kadi
resource
laaɓi
base
ɗi annduɗa ɗi anda ɓe waway ɗi rewde pour yimɓe ɓe annduɗa ɓe liggoto toon ɓe heɓa yimɓe ɓe annduɗa ko ɓen foti wonde toon
to do our job.
pour ɓe wawa wadde ligge maɓɓe ɗen no yaari
However, as a matter of concern,
o wi joni ɗum ɗo fof ko yiɗe yimɓe ɓen
some of the rights
o wi laaɓi ɗi annduɗa ko ɗum ɓe woni rewde ɗi
need some amenities, particularly the infrastructural support.
ɓe yiɗi bagage ji ɗi annduɗa ne ko wayi ni wa batimaji ɗi annduɗa ɓe wawi liggade e ɗin.
I'm saying this because if you want to, somebody commits a crime and he's to be detained and is a juvenile or a woman,
o wi so tawi neɗɗo waɗi ko annduɗa yadani e loi ɓe foto mon nangude ɓe joƴƴina
you go to stations across the country,
sa yehi ka leydi ndin fof
you will realize that the police force is constrained in some aspects.
a waway andude ne police ɓen ɓe ala ɗin dingiraji ɗi ɓe wawi marde ɓen yimɓe.
And since it's the demand and constitutional responsibility that we protect people's rights,
waref mo annduɗa ne laamu on no foti mo wallude police ɓen,
I think it's important
o wi ɗum ɗon no heɓi fayda
that we all put hands together
o wi enen fof wawen jonnidirde jungo
to support
pour wawen wallitade
the reform structures
pour wawen wallitade
or the reform activities.
ɓe wawata ɗi heɓorde.
I also want to encourage Gambians to be law abiding.
o wi mo faala haalande Gambia kala wonɗo ɓiɗɗo Gambia ya jaɓu loi on ko haali kon rewa lawol loi.
I respect the happenings within the TRRC.
o wi himo teddini ko annduɗa ko ɗum woni wadde ka TRRC.
But I would also request that some little bit of hesitation be given in areas. I would say this for the fact that there was a pronouncement.
o wi mo faala kadi yimɓe ɓen ɓe wawa tardinde seeɗa ko annduɗa ne goɗɗi no waɗa ɗo ko annduɗa haalanoma
That was made here, of course, for good reasons.
o wi ɗum ɗon waɗanoma kono anda ko e dow konngudi moƴƴuɗi waɗano.
And by coincidence,
o wi ɗum ɗon arine tawi wondema
my team of investigators had to conduct an arrest somewhere.
o wi kanko ɓe annduɗa ne ko ɓen o hondi ɓe yehino nangugol yimɓe nokkugol.
And this is a cognizable crime. It's a felonious crime that is arrestable without a warrant.
ɗo ko annduɗa ne konngol ngol annduɗa ɓe waɗimo ko annduɗa yaadane e loi tawi yimɓe ɓen waɗuɓe ɗum ɓen no fonno nangede.
The son to the suspect,
o wi ɓiɗɗo mo annduɗa ne ko on fawano ngol ɗon baɗal,
confronted
o wi yehino ha yiɗi habdude e yimɓe makko
the police,
e police ɓen
asking for a warrant of arrest.
o wi mo landoto no police ɓen kaydi mo annduɗa ko ɗum hollitirta ne yiɓe foti mo nangude.
Some of these things are becoming challenges, and it will have some national security
o wi ɗum ɗon
implications.
ko annduɗa ko tampere e sengo police ɓen te kadi
That's why I want Gambians and non-Gambians in the Gambia
o wi Gambia ɓiɗɗo Gambia e mo wona ɓiɗɗo Gambia e nder
to
Gambia
try to be law abiding
o wi enen fof jaɓen loi on rewen lawol
in the
loi.
interest of reform and getting the proper environment within the entire
o
country.
enen fof wawen heɓude ko annduɗa tawal moƴƴal ngal annduɗa ko ɗon non foɗɗen wonirde e nder leydi Gambia.
That said, Mr. Chairman, I wish to thank you
o wi e dow ɗum Mr. Chairman mina jarnama
and your entire commission members
an e commissioner ɓe ma ɓen fof
and the lead counsel and his team
e lead council on kañum e yimɓe makko ɓen
for at least doing justice to this nation.
pour waɗugol yiigol ne oɗon rewna leydi ndin laawol.
I know it's a daunting task, but it's doable.
ɗum ɗo wona ligge mo annduɗa ne ko ligge cahande kono hiɗon wakkili.
And I wish to also thank my entire family
o wi himo jarna famille makko on fof
for supporting me in all aspects.
o wi pour ɓe wawi mo wallitade e cenɗe ɗe.
Although Mr. Fall didn't ask me to narrate my ordeal,
o wi Mr. Fall landaki,
but I respect that because for me,
o wi kanko kono o jaɓi ɗum ɗon te kadi o teddini ɗum.
I took that as a challenge
o wi te o ƴetti ɗum ne o tawane ko baɗal ngal
and
annduɗa
a test on my faith by the Almighty Allah.
o wi pour ɗum ɗon ko ndaara rek limanago makko ngon to fewtiri e Allah.
Even though I didn't say anything, we didn't say anything about it,
o wi en haalani hay fus e ko yaari e ɗum.
but I'm saying to those that had contributed in one way or the other in seeing me there, I have nothing against him and I have forgiven everybody.
o wi mo haalande ɓen annduɗa ne ɓe waɗi feere ha o woni e on dinkirama annduɗa fotano wonde ɗon o
Even though
dara ko
the
annduɗa
commissioner and the commission don't know the details,
o wi commission o anda fof honno yaari ton.
but I would want to make it clear to the entire Gambian people that I owe no grudges against anybody as far as my individual ordeal was concerned.
o wi kanko o heɓanani hay goto mette ɓerde mo annduɗa ne pour yimɓe ɓen ko ɓe tumunomo kon ko anduɗa heɓaki.
I was in mile 2 for 20 months.
O wi mo wonno mile 2 e lebbi nogas.
18 of which were without a warrant.
O wi lebbi sappo e jeetati ɗen fof.
And I was going to court until at the final end I was discharged.
O wi
or acquitted and discharged.
ndeɓe ñalande ndeɓe accitimo.
But I don't hold anything against anybody, and I have forgiven whoever must have played a role in one way or the other. With these remarks, Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Chair, I think it behoves me to set the record straight with regards to the witnesses' victimization. In his statement, he says he does not want to talk about it. He's just providing the information because he was asked. That's one reason, so I thought he wanted some little bit of privacy about that. The other issue is the violation. What I have seen on paper was not one violation, one type violation the TRRC is interested in. An allegation was made against him. On that basis, he was interdicted. On that basis, he was arrested and detained and prosecuted, and he was acquitted. According to him, his letter to Yaya Jammeh, he said he thanks the president for creating the environment for rule of law to happen in this country. We have nothing against that. Our problem is that same Yaya Jammeh did not allow rule of law to happen against other people. And that's what we focused on. So he has no complaint. I did not know that he was detained in mile 2 for 2 years without a warrant, or 20 months without a warrant. I would be surprised how anyone would get into remand without a warrant. But if we did know that, certainly that is a matter that the Commission would be interested in. And this is the reason why we have to do these things, so that we can have a country in which rule of law would be taken for granted and not used just as a matter to extol the leadership, knowing full well that it is just pure talk and not supported by any facts. Thank you.
And was the 20-month summer detention at mile 2 after your participation in the panel?
Oui, so tawi lebbi nogas ɗi annduɗa ɓe nanginoma ɓe teguma mile 2 so tawi ko nde joƴƴino ɗon e on panel nde ɗum yawti ko on watta.
Yes, Chairman, yes. It was from 2008 September to 2010 May.
Ko gila 2008 September to 2010 May.
And the other panel members, did they also go to jail?
There's many
panel member ɓe yehi no jail ɓe annduɗa ɓe wonno e panel on kamɓe kadi so tawi no ɓe naɓino ɓe mile 2.
I was with them there. They were my best of friends. Some of them would console me when they had those problems of going to the NI here and there. Sometimes they would come and say, police came, then we had established a very, very good relationship.
No, what I'm after is going to mile 2 after fabricating reports that went to the AG on the basis of which convictions were made.
Yes, it is after that.
It was after that.
It was after that.
And the other panelists, what happened to them? Did they also go to jail like you?
Some did.
Some did. Mysterious ways that God's act.
Karma.
Thank you, Mr. Dembaso, very much for your testimony. And we will meet again tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock. Meeting is adjourned.